How y'all doing today? My name is Americus, as you see on here, Americus. All right. And I'm here to teach you how not to be a slave. Okay, you were born into slavery, and now you have to find your way out. And to get out of slavery, first I want to say welcome to the Goddess Church. And if you join this church, you will see that you will not be a slave. If you look closely in the background, you will see my boots. You will see my tabush, or you call it a fez. You will see my alligator shoes. You will see my crown. You will see my New Day hat. You will see my third eye open, which is a symbol that we have. And sip and cup and get down. We are the sons, the soon to come, to navigate and to get you back where you need to be at. So I'm going to read a couple of things to you as far as definitions. And I suggest that you get a pen and a paper. And most of the times, when a person try to help another person, they try to do it so everything will be, I'm going to do it with the butter knife. I'm going to show you the butter knife. There's a lot of things going on. It's okay. I'm going to show you with the butter knife that we're going to use. We're going to use this butter knife, which is the golden butter knife. The gold butter knife. We got a gold butter knife. Okay? I ain't going to say that is, let's see what it says here. Okay, from the country of Japan. Okay, so this is the gold butter knife. Okay, right here. This is the book that we're going to use today. I would suggest that you get a book that you can become a scribe. And we're going to talk about how to be free. How not to be a slave. How not to be a slave. Okay, let's talk about the word slave. Slave from the word Slavic. Slavic was a group of people that was indentured servant, indentured servants, which equal to, at that particular time, they were slaves. They were slaves for a period of time. And that period of time was supposed to be 7 years of hard work or labor or manual labor or work or agriculture, whatever, that they assigned to. And most of the times, just as they had another thing called sharecropping. Listen to it really quick. Sharecropping. Sharecropping was a way where people come to the land as visitors. We help them survive through the harsh winter months and show them what we knew about the earth and how the earth was good for us and we was good for it. And we used what we could use or what was needed. We didn't have an abundance of a lot of different things. So that means it was also an appreciation. It was also always something to do. It wasn't just sitting down, just getting fat, or living off the land and just being not respecting the earth. What people did not know is that the earth is a living organism. So you cannot buy it, you cannot sell it, you cannot trade it. It is what it is. It's going to do what it's doing. And when it see fit with its way of communicating with those who are in agreement with others from other dimensions of time and thought, planets that they call it, it works different. It doesn't work the way we gave the mental suggestions to the Twilight Zone, the people who made all these books and stuff like that. It's not like that. So how not to be a slave right now is to learn who you are and learn your constitution. You have a constitution. United States got a constitution, what we wrote. You need to learn that. That is your constitution. And that's the trick that they say, oh, no, we wrote this and you wasn't there and you've been a slave all your life. No. When you forgot the rules, you forgot how to engage in the system of things. And when you don't know and have knowledge of the facts, then you become a slave. You become, when you're not in the law, inside the law, practicing the law, revising the law, then what happens? You become a lawbreaker because you don't know the law. You're not a part of the system. So now you just find a pain in the system. This is why they say you do fine. You're fine. You say, oh, I'm feeling fine. Yeah, you feeling fine because your emotions didn't let your intellect take you where you need to be at. But we're going to change all that. It's okay. The people who want to do what they do, let them have it. We're going to change it. We're going to change it really quick right now. So we're going to start this. We're going to start how not to be a slave. And we're going to go through some readings. And this is coming from the Constitution of the Indigenous Peoples. Okay? It was drafted by Maku, a chief Black Eagle of the Yamasee tribe of Native Americans. Seminole, Creek, Shoshone, Wichita, Mound Builders. He was known at the time, still is, Malachi Z. York L. of the United Nuwabian Nations of Moors. And he is the president. He's our president. He's the one beside it. He's the president. He's the Supreme Grand Master, Naya Malachi Suduk York L. And this was done June 26, 1992. So we're going to write that down. The date, June 26, 1992. And what I want you to do, I want you to remember that date, Malachi Suduk York L. Malachi Suduk York L. Malachi Suduk York L. June 26, 1996. And it states here, you can get this constitution at nuwabianfacts.com. nuwabianfacts.com. It's NUWAUBIAN facts, FACTS.com. So we're talking about United Nubian Nation of Moors. So we're going to just say that. United Nubian Nation of Moors. And it was drafted for the indigenous peoples of the Yamasee tribe of Native Americans. United Nubian Nation of Moors, who are guided by the Supreme Grand Master Naya Malachi Zaduk York El. The word Makul means chief, and he's the chief of the United Nubian Nations of Moors of the HTM. Okay? So it states that the organic and fundamental law of a nation or a state, which may be written or unwritten, establishing the character and conception of its government, laying the basic principles to which its internal life is to be conformed, organizing the government and regulating, distributing and limiting the functions of its different departments, and prescribing the extent and manner of the exercise of sovereign powers. A charter of government deriving its whole authority for the governed. So this is the general law definition of the word constitution. These are the things that you need to know. These are the things that you have to put on the table and take other things off the table so you can make room for your new life. So a constitution is a written instrument agreed upon by the people of the union or of a particular state, as the absolute rule of action and decisions for all departments and offices of the government in respect to all the points covered by it, which must control until it shall be changed by the authority which established it, and in opposition to which any act or ordinance of any such department or officer is null and void. So in American law, the Constitution was agreed upon by the people of the Union or a particular state as the absolute power. Now, this absolute power, which can only be changed by the authority which established it. So if you don't think that you are a part of establishing the Constitution, then you cannot make any changes to the Constitution. You're not in the law, you're outside the law. Once we reestablish the point that you are a part of establishing the United States of America, and you are more, and now you are more, then you will see the light shine within you. It says, we as Moors did contribute to the making of the Constitution of the Union, or what is now called United States of America. Thus, as mentioned in the definition above, we as Moors have the authority. We as Moors have the power we have Moors have the authority and power to change and abolish this present constitution, because we was there and establishing it, so we can abolish it. This fact can be observed by Abraham Lincoln. In other words, when he challenged the American jurist and the fifth Chief Justice, Roger Brooke Taney's 1777 to 1864 AD, in the decision of the Dred Scott case, saying, Justice Taney, in delivering the majority opinion of the court, insists at great length that Moors were no part of the people who made and for whom was made the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution of the United States. On the contrary, Judge Charles Curtis, 1860 to 1936 AD, and his dissenting opinion shows that in 5 of the 13 states, to wit, New York, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and North Carolina, free Moors were voters and in proportion to their numbers had the same part in making the Constitution that the white people had. He shows this with so much particularity as to leave no doubt in its truth, and as a sort of conclusion on that point holds the following language. The Constitution was ordained and established by the people of the United States through the actions in each state of those persons who were qualified by its laws to act thereon in behalf of themselves and all other citizens of the state. In some of the states, we have seen Moorish persons who were among those qualified by law to act on the subject. These Moorish people or persons were not only included in the body of the people of the United States, by whom the Constitution was ordained and established, but in at least 5 of the states that had the power to act, and doubtless did act by their suffrages upon the question of the adoption. Justice Curtis, in 1857, dissenting opinion on the Dred Scott case, also Lincoln Douglas debates. Our united Nubian nation of Moors Constitution is authentic and goes into effect as of the date herein inscribed, June 26, 1992 AD. When this Constitution was drawn up by the draftee, Maku, Naya, Malaki, Saduk York L. Our chief, if you are in agreement with this Constitution, then fill in the information form added only after reading this handbook in its entirety. Refer to the scroll 360 degrees. Let's set the record straight in the scroll 259, message to the Nubian nation of Moors. Please photostat the form and mail the copy Sign to address on the last page. Warning to all other peoples and nations, inclusive of the United States, know that to violate our Constitution is to violate the drafted Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People. So we're going to take that. We got June 26, 1992, and then we're going to put the rights of indigenous people. So the next thing we're going to put the rights of indigenous, INDIGENOUS peoples. And is drafted by the working groups at its 11th session and the Indigenous Peoples Earth Charter. So put the Indigenous People Earth Charter. So we have How Not to Be a Slave, Slavics from the word slave. Then we got the date June 26, 1992, the rights of indigenous people, the Indigenous People Earth Charter. Okay? And that was in 1994. So we got 1992, 1994, Indigenous People Earth Charter, right? And that which was adopted in May 1992. Indigenous people as a specific form of exercising their rights to self-determination. So we're going to put self-determination. These are the words that you will now be teaching the children. Your duplication. You're going to be thinking as a scientist and an engineer. You're going to be thinking as an astrologist. You're going to be thinking as a diplomat. You're going to be thinking as a royal family on Earth. And you're going to be thinking about your other family that's in what they call other dimensions. So we have self-determination. We have the right to autonomy or self-government. So we're going to talk about autonomy, and then we're going to put equals self-government, governing, or government, and matters relating to the internal and local affairs, including culture, religion, education, information, media, health, housing, employment, social welfare, economic activities, land and resources, management, environment, and entry by non-members, as well as ways and means for financing these autonomous functions. So we're talking about financing, which is barter, trade, and have our own way of doing things. Now, Article 36 of Indigenous Peoples, it says Indigenous peoples have the right to the recognition, observation, and enforcement of treaties. Now, when we talk about treaties, so we're talking about recognition, observation, and enforcement of treaties. If you don't know the treaties, you won't know the prior, well, treaties. Now, the next word is agreements. As I was going to say, if you don't know the treaties, you won't know the agreements that we have made on our land as being sovereign for those who are visitors. There will always be visitors on our land. There will never be permanent. There will always be visitors. We will always monitor them, and we will always make sure that our generation, our new generations, is equipped with everything. Anyway, Indigenous people have the right to the recognition, observation, and enforcement of treaties, agreements, and other constructive agreements concluded with states or their successors according to their original spirit and intent, and to have states honor and respect these treaties. So those visitors must respect the treaties, agreements, and the constructive arrangements. So we have constructive arrangements. It says if there are any conflicts, so we're going to put the word conflicts of interest. Conflicts and disputes which cannot otherwise be settled should be submitted to competent international bodies. Now we're talking about international. Okay, so we have to form ourselves in communication with international bodies. And what's happening, what's continuing to happen, we must enforce these rules in our Constitution, because that is the instruments, that is our defense. These words is battles. The battle is in the courtroom. The battle is not with the pistol or the gun. The battle is with the wits. The battle is with the wits or the writings. The battle is with the thoughts. The battle is with the agreement of that which created that which wants to try to get out of its natural order. So for today, we're going to stop on page 7. And I will get back with you with this.